Congratulations on that win over Invictus Gaming, Sneaky. It was certainly, I think it was an important one for you guys because, the Chinese teams have been actually had a little bit of an awkward performance so far at Worlds, whereas, your North American comrades have actually been having quite a bit of success so far. So how did you feel, you guys performed in this game, and what do you think you guys did, have improved on the most since your time during the Gauntlet run?
Well, we had a pretty big downtime between the Gauntlet and now. I think it was like 4 weeks, and we spent most of that in Korea just playing a ton of solo queues, scrimming whoever we could, and it helps build synergy as a team, but it was also pretty helpful that Korean solo queue was a bit more competitive than today. It was worse than last year's Korean solo queue, but it was still really good. Just tons of little in-game things that you need to remind yourself to do. It's actually way more prominent in Korea than like in Ace so far. But besides that, we're just really working together as a team, and we just came out strong.
Now, when I spoke to Double Lift from Cloud9's Gaming, he said that, watching you guys beat AHQ on day one put a lot of pressure on them to sort of perform up to standards. And now watching them go 2-0 in their respective group, did you guys sort of feel a reciprocation of that sort of pressure to step your game up to match theirs?
Well, Group A is definitely easier so far than Group B, but I don't know, maybe that's not even true anymore. I don't know what's happening with Chinese teams at the moment. LGD lost both their games. IG lost both their games. And then, who's the other one? EDG, they lost to SKT. So not performing as I expected them to. I honestly expected China to take the whole tournament, possibly just win it straight out. But yeah, I don't know. CLG, easier group. No extra pressure from them winning, because I expected them to get first anyways in that group.
Now, you did say that Invictus Gaming, you did just beat them, have been struggling a little bit. What did you sort of pinpoint as one of the things that they did kind of incorrectly this match that led you guys to capitalize on that?
Well, I mean, that in part is due a lot to matchups. So, like, for me, bot lane, we had Triss Braum versus Sivir Bard. Bard's like an okay laner, but we kind of skipped past that phase with the 2v1. And we're able to swap into him later where he's not as strong, not as annoying to deal with the heals and stuns. So that kind of like nullified that advantage, and Sivir on her own is pretty weak as a carry. So we were able to push that down, me and Lemon, and then rotate to other sides of the map where Azir can push down turrets and we can have a really strong siege together. So it just took a bit of time to get there, and we put balls a little bit behind, but we were able to win the game.
I think one of the big storylines for you guys, and you did say the Azir was on your team, and that was Incarnation playing that Azir. He has definitely shown a pretty strong resurgence from, the middle of the season through the Gauntlet, and now he looks more confident than ever. Can you sort of, from your perspective, describe how, the addition of Hai has helped him sort of come into his own?
Well, I think when Hai came around in the very first few days, he realized that Incarnation needs a lot of help around mid, and I think when we didn't have Hai, we didn't really put that help, because it was just harder to do so. We were kind of set in our ways on what we were doing, and then Hai came in. He's like not really played jungle much before. I mean, he kind of played it competitively, but it's been 2 years or something. So he kind of came in with a fresh mind. He's like, all right, mid looks like it's taking a lot of pressure. We need to throw some wards down. So that's kind of like carried over and helped him be able to do things in the mid lane, which is showing now more than the beginning of the season that we had.
One of the aspects of this world that I think is particularly noticeable is the variety of champions that are being played pretty well across the board. However, in the bot lane, it actually seems to be pretty stable. In that sense, were you kind of surprised when they actually did pull out the first Bard of the tournament?
Well, they threw a bunch of support bans down. They threw Alistar and Morgana. So we honestly expected something like Bard. We weren't really sure because they gave the Braum to us. So they have to pick something weird and do it. And I don't know, Bard's okay with champion. He's not like amazing. I'm a bit surprised they pulled it out, but there isn't too much else to play anyways. They could have played like Annie, which is okay without Callista. I don't know.
Now, earlier today, we saw the first Mordekaiser of the tournament in the hands of H2K, which has been permabanned pretty well across the board in every sense. What do you, from your AD carry perspective, what is really the strength of, Mordekaiser in your eyes?
Mordekaiser's main strength is just being able to snowball the early game. He's bringing magic damage. He's a really good diver early on, 2v1. His 2v2 is actually kind of weak, so that's a bit exploitable. And I don't really know about the champion. It's hard to judge because so far he's been permabanned, but then he was left open in the LGD KT series. I don't know what kind of mind games are going on there. I think Imp doesn't play it, honestly. I haven't seen any rune pages or him playing it at all, so I don't know. Maybe they guessed that LGD wouldn't play it and nobody picked it. It's really weird. So I think Moore's really strong still, but it's hard to judge.
Would you say sort of the unknown factor of Mordekaiser, like he can be really explosive or he can also be kind of a dud, is sort of contributing to that ban rate?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's scared because it's not a traditional AD carry. He has to snowball to win the game. If he goes even, I guess he could try and like get the 3 proc and then flash on someone with the 3rd hit and one-shot him, but that's kind of unreliable if the game doesn't go your way. If you're not snowballing, they can snowball on you. You'll get pushed in. You can't really siege with Mord. So I think it's really weird, and that's probably a big reason why people are banning it.
When you guys came into this tournament, a lot of people kind of had you guys pegged as the bottom of this group, you know, judging on the relative strength of Fnatic and Invictus Gaming and the LMS champions AHQ. What do you think you've done to improve your game since the gauntlet, since there were a couple of rough patches there, to now go 2-0 in this group?
I don't know. It's all just about playing as a team, honestly. Like, the individual skill just comes as we play solo queue and just play against the top laners, or the top laners. Yeah. But I don't know. There's nothing specific we like honed down on. We just kind of improved the same way we've been improving, and maybe it excelled when we were in Korea. I'm not really sure. Maybe the other teams are faltering at the same time. It could just be a combo of things. I don't really know.
Well, your next opponent is going to be Fnatic, who is also 1-0 at the moment, but taking to the Rift just as we speak. They've been receiving a lot of praise from pretty well every team at this event. You know, SK Telecom's players have been very vocal as well about how strong Fnatic has looked, both in scrims and in their opening game. What are your thoughts about your soon-to-be opponent?
Well, they're definitely a very strong team. I don't know how we're going to match up, honestly, because they dominated Europe, only dropped games to Origin throughout the whole thing. And now we have to face them. They're in an international competition. They've looked really strong. They're pretty scary.
Now, these 2 wins here at Worlds are sort of the culmination of that run through the gauntlet you guys had, you know, some would say an almost miraculous run. How high do you think Cloud9 can make it at this event?
I don't know, honestly. Depends a lot on if we get out of groups, for one, what kind of bracket stage we get. If we get, you know, an easier team for the first round, and then the second round, if we even make it to there, an easy team as well. I don't know. It's too hard to judge for now. I'll say top 8, because that's what we've been doing every other Worlds. Not too high of expectations.
Do you think the instability of the Chinese team sort of has contributed to you maybe feeling a little bit more confident that you guys can make it top 8?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're 2-0 now, so we're definitely way more confident than we... Actually, no, I don't know. We didn't really feel that down when we were looking at our groups. We were like, this is not actually the hardest group we could have gotten. We could have been in, TSM's position, something like that, against LGD, which were monsters at the time. I don't know about now. So we're still pretty confident.
Best of luck in the future.
Thank you.